Hello everyone, I hope that you're doing well today. And in this video, I'm going to be painting in my sketchbook, and I have this piece right here I'm going to be painting. It is of a country farm stand, and I've got tomatoes, spinach, and some eggs that are on display, and I have a little sign and a person walking with a basket, and I really enjoy this piece a lot. I did start off with pencil and had hand drawn it out, kind of sketched out what I was going to paint and where I was going to paint, and then afterwards I filled everything in like as if it was a coloring book, and I had a lot of fun, and I am just super pleased with how this turned out. I love the colors and the vibrancy of it, and so in this video I will do a speed up of me painting this, and so I hope that you enjoy this.
So the first thing I did was sketch everything out, and some of the pencil marks are kind of dark, but it's okay because I like to use thicker paint when I go and paint in my sketchbook. The first thing that I'll be painting is the sky, and I'm going to do my best to not try to paint over what I had sketched out, just so that I can remember where everything is and get the reference still. And when I go and paint the sky, I like to do sections where it's lighter and darker shades of blue, just so that it can add some texture to the background, and also it can kind of give an idea of where the light is shining. One of the things that I will do constantly with this painting is go to the water and add a little bit to the paint, just so that it can spread right on the sketchbook paper, because it is a little thicker, and so it does kind of require a little bit more smoothness. And so that's the cloud that I'm painting in the background, and I think it looks really nice. I'm just sort of coloring everything in, and then at the very end is when I'll add more details. And so right here I am working on the grass and just filling everything in, and again with the green color, the same with the sky. I like to mix and sort of get different shades of green when I go and paint, even if it is the first layer of paint, and then I'm gonna go back later on to add more detail. And so what I'll do is I'll add white and yellow and maybe even a little bit of brown and black, just to give that green a different shade. Here I am add in the paint in between where the farm stand is, and this part was a little tedious, I'm not gonna lie. I think what I'll probably do in the future is get smaller paintbrushes, because this paintbrush is pretty small, but I don't really have anything too much smaller than this one, and so I think it would be nice to get something a little bit smaller. And I did mess up a little bit with the green, because I accidentally got it on where the piece of wood is supposed to be, and I had painted right over top of it. But the nice part about painting with acrylics is I can just sort of go over top and paint kind of right over top the colors that I need to, even if it is a lighter or a darker color. And so this is the part where I'm adding a little bit of like gravel and just more dirt towards the front entryway of the farm stand, because everybody's walking there and that's where all of the traction is, and so I thought it would be nice to kind of break up the green and add different colors of brown mixed with white, even like a little bit of yellow, even like a hint of green, just to make it seem like as if there's still patches of grass. And this is the part where I am painting the farm stand, and again I'm adding different shades of brown, not only to distinguish the difference of what's what, but then it also is to show kind of where there would be more shadows. And so the bottom part is made out of wood, like what it's being held by, and then up top where the roof is, it's going to be kind of almost like metal color in a way, because that's just sort of the look that I wanted to go for. And then on the very top is like a sign, and I wanted that to look like it was made out of a wood color as well. And so there are 6 different holders that are underneath of the farm stand, and then there's one to the bottom left on the ground, and I kind of wanted to make it look rustic and not completely perfect. I like the idea of it being like homemade and not perfect. I think it looks really cool. And now I am painting the sign off to the left side of the painting, and I wanted this to be colorful and it be made out of wood, and then have different like paint colors on top of it to sort of match what is on the signs. And so I just go with some brown first, and then I'll be adding some red, green, and yellow to the signs, and it says Farm Fresh at the very top, and then tomatoes, spinach, and eggs. And I just think it's really cute. And I was looking at some other reference photos and other ideas for when I was making this painting, and it led me to wanting to make a sign that looked like this. And now I am going to start painting the person walking, and I want it to be a person where they had on just some basic blue jeans with a red t-shirt, and they have an empty basket in her hand, and I guess maybe the idea would be that she's on her way to purchase some. Maybe she's not actually the one running the business, although maybe she is. I don't know. I'm just using my imagination. And I do like adding people or other animals or something that gives movement to the painting, because it really just makes the painting feel alive, and I think it just gives more of a story to the painting as well. So this is the part where I start painting the tree, and even though this does take some time to do, this part is very fun to do. It is very therapeutic. I enjoy the repetitiveness, but it's also very calming at the same time, and the more branches that you keep adding, the more that the tree just looks, I guess you could say, more realistic over time. And sometimes I like to add trees that don't have any leaves on it, and then add some other ones that do. But for this piece, I just wanted there to be one simple kind of tree with a lot of open land in the background. I just had an idea for it. And so I first paint the tree with like a brown color, and then I go back and I add more of a darker brown in the middle of the tree, and then more on the outer edge of where the branches are, I add a lighter brown. And I even add a little bit on the trunk as well, because I just thought it would look nice. And now I'm gonna focus back on the farm stand. There is some touch-ups that I need to do, and then I'll be able to continue painting with the tree. And so the first thing, the red circles, that is going to be the tomatoes, and then the green is the spinach, and then the bottom shelf is going to be where the eggs are. And here I am going back and adding more touches to the grass, just like what I was saying earlier. And I kind of want to make it to where the grass is going in one direction, so that it doesn't look so random. And so I add dark shades, and then I'll go back and then add the lighter shades on top, and I might even go back again and add more darker shades. I'll just play back and forth with the colors if I'm not too happy with it. And yeah, so this is the part where basically everything is where it needs to be, and now I just need to add in and fill in with the details. I can't lie, this is like one of the funner ways that I have painted, because usually I don't pencil draw anything. I sort of just paint with my brush and just do whatever I feel is good and necessary. But with this piece, it was a little bit more specific and not as random, and I really enjoyed that. I feel like I had a better time painting because I was able to focus just purely on the colors and maybe not so much on like the shape or making everything symmetrical and stuff like that, because I already had pencil drawed everything out. And I am adding more details to the veggie, I guess you'd say fruit and veggies, and the eggs, and I really enjoyed how all of this was coming out, like even in this stage, because I don't really paint stuff like this in general, where it's a farm stand per se, and there's like a person walking and stuff. But my goal with painting is I want to add more of a story with my paintings and not so much just a landscape. And I like the idea of there being more of a country, kind of almost like a maybe vintage kind of feel to the paintings. And I've been inspired by other artists as well that have sort of this style, and I just thought it would be really nice to just start incorporating that into my own art. And it's something that I have thought about for a while, but I guess I never really got into it because I didn't know where to start. But I think the best thing, at least for me, is being able to draw it out first so that everything kind of just is more smoother when creating the piece. And so I am just adding some final details of browns and greens and reds and blues, and I really wanted to focus on what was easier to paint first and then go on to like the smaller kind of details. So like I was painting the grass first, you know, like the biggest thing, and then later on I'm painting the person and stuff like that. It's just like an easier way for me to approach it, and I can layer a bit easier like that too, where I just paint the grass first, and if I made a little mistake, I can kind of overlayer that paint with what's in front of it. Now, I don't add a face to the person because I'm not good at that, and I'm not going to attempt, or at least not in this moment. If I get a smaller paintbrush, maybe I will. Maybe if I do it on a larger canvas and I portion things out differently, maybe I can. But this piece was pretty small, or like the person was in the painting, so I didn't try to mess around with that. And so this is the part afterwards. I am adding all of the leaves, and what I like to do when it comes to painting leaves is I'll do all of the dark colors and shades first, and then I add all the highlights on afterwards. And I made a little bit of some leaves falling off to the side because I thought that was cool, and again, it just sort of gives more of emotion and a different feeling to the painting. And I go back and I touch up the cloud, I make it more fluffy, and I add more of a white highlighted detail on it, because the color of the cloud is a white and a slight blue shade mixed together, and then afterwards I added some white on top. And I am writing down some of the words on the signs, and it might not be the nicest, but I do like how it looks, kind of like, you know, someone had hand wrote it per se, even though I did, but in the painting I think it looks nice that it's not perfect. And so that is it. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. I hope it was inspirational and that you can create something like this during your free time and that it's fun and enjoyable. So thank you for watching. I hope that you guys enjoy your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.